August 14th, 2005. High above the skies of Athens, Greece, something strange and terrifying was unfolding. At nearly 10,000 meters above the ground, a passenger airplane was silently circling, without responding to any control tower messages. For more than 2 hours, the aircraft had gone completely silent. Fear spread across Athens. Was this a terrorist attack? A hijacking? Because of this growing threat, the Greek Air Force immediately scrambled fighter jets to intercept the plane. But when the F-16 pilots approached the aircraft, what they saw inside was beyond horrifying. The cabin was completely silent. No movement, no signs of life. All the passengers were sitting motionless in their seats, and the cockpit appeared empty. Then suddenly the fighter pilots noticed one person inside the cockpit, someone who did not appear to be a pilot. He was moving around as if confused, searching for something, trying to understand what was happening. Moments later, the plane suddenly tilted to one side and began descending rapidly. Just minutes later, it crashed into the mountains north of Athens. All 121 passengers and crew members were killed. So what really happened? Why was there no response from the pilots or crew? What went wrong after takeoff that led to this terrifying disaster? This is the story of Helios Flight 522, also known as the ghost plane. Welcome once again to Factify TV. On the morning of August 14, 2005, 115 passengers and 6 crew members boarded Helios Flight 522 at Larnaca Airport in Cyprus. Their final destination was Prague, Czech Republic, with a scheduled stopover in Athens. It was summer vacation season, and many passengers were traveling for holidays. The captain was highly experienced, 59 years old with more than 17,000 flight hours. The first officer was 51 years old with 7,500 flight hours. On paper, everything seemed perfect, but there were hidden problems. The first officer had previously complained to friends and family about the captain's strict and pressuring behavior. The airline was aware of this issue. Training records also showed that the first officer sometimes struggled with checklist procedures, a detail that would later prove critical. The aircraft was a 7-year-old Boeing 737-300. The plane took off smoothly from Larnaca and climbed past 10,000 feet, contacting Nicosia Air Traffic Control and receiving clearance to climb to 34,000 feet. But at 12,000 feet, a warning alarm suddenly sounded in the cockpit. It was a takeoff configuration warning, an alarm that normally sounds on the ground, not in midair. The pilots were confused. The captain contacted the airline's operations center, reporting the warning and mentioning that the ventilation cooling fan lights were off. He asked where the circuit breakers were located. The ground engineer told him the lights were supposed to be off and that the breaker was behind the captain's seat. But the captain said it wasn't. The engineer was confused until he remembered something important. Before the flight, he had performed a pressurization system test. During that test, he had switched the pressurization mode from auto to manual and forgot to switch it back. When the engineer asked the captain whether the pressurization system was set to auto or manual, the captain did not answer and repeated his circuit breaker question. Meanwhile, oxygen masks had already dropped inside the cabin. Shortly afterward, communication with the aircraft was completely lost. The plane continued climbing to 34,000 feet, following its autopilot route with no human control. Multiple attempts by air traffic control to contact the aircraft failed. The flight entered Greek airspace without permission, still unresponsive. Athens ATC tried emergency frequencies. No response. With no answers, authorities considered two possibilities: a radio transmission failure, a hijacking. Greek Air Force fighter jets were sent to intercept. By 7:37 a.m., the aircraft was circling Athens in a holding pattern. At 8:30 a.m., the F-16 pilots made a shocking discovery. The captain's seat was empty. Inside the cabin, passengers were motionless, oxygen masks still on their faces. On the aircraft's 10th holding loop, the fighter pilot saw a man enter the cockpit wearing a light blue shirt and black vest. He sat in the captain's seat and put on headphones. He even waved back at the fighter pilots. But moments later, the left engine failed. The plane sharply turned left and began descending. Soon after, the right engine failed as well. At 9 a.m., the aircraft crashed into the mountains northwest of Athens. The investigation revealed the horrifying truth. The forgotten pressurization switch caused cabin depressurization, leading to hypoxia, a lack of oxygen. At high altitude, the human brain can only function for about 10 minutes without sufficient oxygen. Symptoms include confusion, poor judgment, unconsciousness, and death. The pilots missed this critical switch during pre-flight checks, taxi checks, after takeoff checks. When the cabin altitude warning sounded, they mistook it for a takeoff configuration alarm and followed the wrong procedure. Eventually, the pilots lost consciousness. After oxygen supplies ran out, passengers and crew followed. The man seen in the cockpit was Andreas Prodromo, a flight attendant with a commercial pilot license, but not qualified to fly a Boeing 737. He tried to regain control and make radio calls, but accidentally failed to press the transmit button. Investigators concluded that even if he had managed to land the plane, no one would have survived due to irreversible brain damage from prolonged hypoxia. Used portable oxygen cylinders found in the wreckage confirmed that a few crew members remained conscious longer, but not long enough. After the Helios Flight 522 disaster, the aviation industry introduced major safety reforms, improved pilot training, and clearer warning systems. Because of these changes, a tragedy like this has never happened again. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.